I never thought I'd wake up in someone else's skin, staring at a reflection that wasn't mine, with the power to dismantle an empire I'd once begged to be part of. But there I was, heart pounding like a war drum in a chest that felt foreign and frail. My sister's blood on my hands, not literally, but close enough to stain my soul forever. And in that moment, as the first screams echoed from the executive suites, I realized revenge wasn't just sweet, it was the only goddamn language these sharks understood. They say blood is thicker than water, but in my family, it was always thinner than the ink on a termination letter. I'd taken the fall for Lila's screw-up, her embezzlement, her lies, her desperate grab at the golden parachute that should have been mine, and in return, she watched them drag me out in handcuffs, whispering sorry like it meant a damn thing. New York City in the summer of 2025 was a pressure cooker of glass towers and broken dreams, where the air smelled like hot asphalt and overpriced ambition. I was Cora Hale, mid-level analyst at Vanguard Dynamics, a tech conglomerate that promised to revolutionize tomorrow while sucking the marrow out of anyone who dared climb its ladder. I'd clawed my way up from a nothing job in Queens, fueled by student loans and the kind of grit that comes from watching your single mom work doubles at a diner until her feet bled. Lila, my baby sister by 5 years, was the wild card, the pretty one, the charmer, the girl who could talk her way out of a burning building. We'd grown up in a cramped walk-up in Astoria, sharing a pull-out couch and dreams of escaping the grind. I was the planner, she was the spark. Or so I told myself. It started unraveling 6 months ago, in the sterile glow of the HR conference room on the 47th floor. The air was thick with that fake corporate freshness, lemon-scented and laced with desperation. Victor Langford, the CEO, sat at the head of the table like a silver-haired god, his tailored Brooks Brothers suit screaming old money, his eyes colder than a Wall Street winter. Flanking him were the vultures, Elena Vasquez, the iron-fisted COO who'd risen by backstabbing anyone in heels, and Marcus Hale, no relation to me. Thank God, a smug VP of finance with a comb-over that screamed midlife crisis. They weren't there to chat about my quarterly projections. Cora, Victor drawled, his voice like gravel wrapped in velvet. We've got a situation. He slid a folder across the table, the kind with red tabs that meant lawsuit or a layoff. Inside were ledgers, falsified ones, showing transfers I'd never authorized, siphoning funds from the R&D slush account into offshore shells. Embezzlement. A cool $3 million, gone like smoke from a rooftop hookah lounge. My stomach dropped faster than the Dow on a bad-fed day. This isn't I didn't, but the words choked in my throat. Because I knew. Lila. She'd confessed to me the night before, tears streaming down her Botox-smooth face. Her designer handbag, bought with my bonus check, clutched like a shield. It was just a loan.
Cor.
For the gallery. Things got tight. Her gallery was a half-baked art space in Soho. More Instagram prop than business. Funded by her whirlwind marriage to a trust fund artist who ghosted after the honeymoon. She'd begged me to cover, to fudge the numbers just enough to buy time. And stupid, loyal me, who'd always cleaned up her messes, from shoplifting lip gloss at 14 to crashing my college interview, I'd said yes. Not the transfers, but the alibis, the blind eyes. Enough to make it look like my fingerprints were all over it. Victor's gaze pinned me like a butterfly to corkboard. We've got audits.
Cora.
Witnesses. Your login on the timestamps. Lies. Half of them. But Elena leaned in, her red lips curling like a barracuda's smile. And The board's not in the mood for second chances. Not with the SEC sniffing around. They fired me on the spot. No severance. No references, just a security escort to the elevators. My personal effects in a banker's box that smelled like regret. As the doors dinged shut, I caught Lila's face in the glass lobby, peeking from behind a ficus, her eyes wide with feigned shock. She mouthed call me, but I could see the relief in her posture, the way she straightened like she'd dodged a bullet.
Mine.
The fallout was biblical. My apartment lease vanished overnight. Vanguard owned half the buildings in Midtown, and blacklisting was their love language. Friends ghosted. LinkedIn turned into a digital graveyard. I couch-surfed with a cousin in Brooklyn, pounding pavement for jobs that evaporated at the mention of my name. Lila? She thrived. Posted selfies from rooftop bars, tagged Boss Babe. Her consulting gig at Vanguard mysteriously intact. Turns out, Victor had a soft spot for her, whispers of late-night meetings in his office. The kind that came with champagne flutes and NDAs. Rage simmered, then boiled. I started digging. Late nights in public libraries with borrowed laptops, piecing together the rot. Vanguard wasn't just corrupt. It was a machine built on buried bodies. Victor's rise in the 90s? Tied to insider trading scandals that pinned a whistleblower, some kid from accounting, with a suicide note that screamed setup. Elena's promotions? Stolen patents from laid-off engineers. Now millionaires in her portfolio. And Marcus? He'd covered for Victor's affair with a junior exec, who ended up relocated after getting too mouthy about harassment claims. But the real gut punch came from an anonymous tip. A USB drive slid under my door. Grainy footage of Lila in Victor's penthouse, laughing over caviar as they toasted her genius for framing me. Cora's the fall guy, she giggled. Clinking glasses. Always has been. Betrayal doesn't hit like a truck. It seeps in. Acidic. Dissolving everything you thought was solid. I confronted her in a dive bar off Flatbush. The kind with sticky floors and Pabst on tap. She showed up in Lululemon, reeking of vanilla latte and entitlement.
Cor.
It wasn't personal. You get it,
Right?
survival of the fittest. Her eyes, so like Mom's, pleaded for absolution I couldn't give. I slapped her, hard, the crack echoing like a gunshot. We're done, Lila. Blood or not. She laughed, wiping her lip. Good luck without me.
Cease.
You're nothing. That night, alone in the cousin's basement, drowning in cheap Merlot, I wished for a miracle. A way to crawl inside their heads, make them feel the knife twist. And then, the world glitched. It was 3:17 a.m. When the vertigo hit, a spin like I'd chugged a bottle of NyQuil. The room warped, colors bleeding like a bad acid trip. I blacked out, or thought I did, until I came to. Not in my body. Not in that sagging futon. I was in silk sheets, a king bed overlooking Central Park, the skyline a jagged crown under sodium lights. My hands, long, manicured, not my calloused ones, reached up, touching a face that felt wrong. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw like carved marble. I stumbled to the ensuite bathroom, all marble and mood lighting, and flipped on a light. Victor Langford stared back. 72. But Botox and trainers kept him looking 50. His reflection smirked, unbidden, and I screamed, a baritone bellow that shattered the quiet. Panic clawed at me.
How? Why?
Fragments flashed. That USB, laced with some black market virus? A experimental neural implant Victor had bragged about in a board meeting. Mind-melding for executives, he'd called it. A DARPA leftover for enhanced decision-making. Had Lila slipped it to me? Or was this cosmic payback? The universe's sick joke on a family of frauds? Cora in Victor's shell, dressed in his monogrammed robe. Heart hammering. The mirror lied. I was him now. Power thrummed in my veins. Alien and intoxicating. His phone buzzed. Elena. Texting about a Dawn merger call. I typed back. Fingers fumbling. Mimicking his clip style. On it. By sunrise. I was in the boardroom. Victor's bulk settling into the throne chair like it belonged. Elena eyed him, warily. Rough night.
Beak.
You look
Off.
I leaned back, channeling every boardroom bluff I'd ever watched. Just plotting the future.
Elena.
Starting with house cleaning. She chuckled, oblivious. But inside, Cora seethed. This wasn't escape, it was a loaded gun. And I had 4 bullets. Betrayal. Secret. Crime.
And twist.
Time to load. The first move was subtle. I accessed Victor's encrypted drives, biometrics a breeze with his prints, and unearthed the skeletons. Lila's consulting contract? A sham payroll for Victor's mistress. Funneled through dummy accounts. Elena's patents? Stolen from a deceased engineer whose accident reeked of sabotage. Marcus? Blackmail fodder. Photos of him with interns that could tank his marriage and career. But the buried secret hit hardest, the crime I'd borne. Not just Lila's embezzlement. Vanguard's entire foundation was built on a 2008 crash-era fraud. Victor had orchestrated a Ponzi scheme disguised as green energy bonds, bilking pension funds from teachers and firefighters. When it cracked, he pinned it on a junior analyst, me?
No.
A ghost, my predecessor, who'd confessed in a forged suicide note. I'd inherited her desk, her whispers, and unknowingly her fall. Lila knew. She'd fed Victor the dirt to protect her spot, sacrificing me as the sequel scapegoat. Rage crystallized into plan. I couldn't stay in this body forever. The swap felt unstable, headaches pulsing like warnings. But in the meantime, leverage. I liquidated a sliver of Victor's personal stock, untraceable through his Cayman trusts, and funneled it into a shell company, Hale Revenants LLC. Ironic, right? By week's end, I'd acquired a 5% stake in Vanguard. Anonymous. Riding the dip from internal rumors. Board meetings became theater.
Ider una Victor's banalitias. Hey.
Disruption. While my mind mapped firings. Marcus first. I cornered him in the men's room. Victor's voice a low growl. Those photos with the interns? Leaking by noon unless you resign. Quietly. His face drained of color. Comb-over wilting. He bolted, muttering about family emergency. Elena sensed the shift. What's with you?
Beak.
Paranoia. I smiled Victor's wolfish grin. Just evolution. Darling. Adapt or die. Lila was the delicacy. I summoned her to the penthouse, pouring scotch from crystal that cost more than my old rent. She sauntered in, all eggs and lace, mistaking the invite for foreplay. Missed you, tiger. She perched on the desk, crossing thighs that screamed seduction. I circled her, Victor's loafers silent on Persian rug. Tell me about Cora. Lila. How's she holding up? Her laugh tinkled like breaking glass.
Who? Oh. Right.
My tragic sis. Probably slinging lattes by now. Why? Because I said. Voice cracking just enough to sell the lie. I'm thinking of helping. Out of guilt. She bought it. Spilling like a confessional. The swap details, how she dosed my wine with the implant's trigger compound, stolen from Victor's safe. It was supposed to fry your memories, make you the perfect patsy. But poof, you're gone. And Vic's all intense. Hot. Actually. I poured another round, toasting her hubris. That night, as she slept off the roofie I'd slipped in her glass, mild, just disorienting, I wired the last funds. Hale Revenants now held 15%. Enough to call a shareholder vote. The climax brewed in the shadows. Whispers spread, Victor unraveling, erratic edicts, stock plummeting 12%.
Elena flottait d'un coup.
Rallying allies in smoke-filled speakeasies. Lila, sensing blood. Hedged bets, flirting with board members. Leaking Victor's decline to Bloomberg. I played the Mad King, isolating them. Fired the loyalists who'd covered my, Victor's tracks. Citing restructuring. Each pink slip was a scalpel, carving out the rot. By month 2, Vanguard was a ghost ship, market cap halved, sharks circling for buyouts. But the body strained. Migraines like ice picks. Flashes of Cora's face in mirrors, my real one, pleading. The swap was reversing, or killing us both. Docs confirmed. Neural overload. Days left. Time for the endgame. I called the emergency board session. Victor's signature summoning the cabal. 30 suits in the auditorium. Holograms flickering from satellites. Elena presided. Smug. Victor. Your health. Shut it, I barked. Victor's timbre thunder. I'm tendering my shares. To Hale Revenants. Gasps rippled. The proxy screen lit up. 51% control. I'd outmaneuvered them. Buying distressed debt on margin. Leveraging Victor's own vanity bonds. Lila burst in late, disheveled from her hangover haze. Beak. What's? I turned, and in that instant, the glitch hit again. Vertigo. A scream building. The room spun, faces blurring. When it cleared, I was me, Cora, in my old blouse, crumpled on the carpet. Victor's body slumped across the table, eyes wide in my borrowed terror. Chaos erupted. Security swarmed. Elena shrieked for ambulances. But I rose. Steady. The shareholder vote locked in app.
Hale Revenants, Cora Hale.
Sole proprietor. Owned Vanguard. Fired, I said. Voice mine but laced with Victor's echo. All of you. Effective immediately. They lunged. But contracts were ironclad. NDAs shredded. Evidence dossiers emailed to DOJ.
Sick.
Every watchdog from here to DC. Victor's body twitched, my old fury animating it. Cora, he gasped, my lips on his tongue.
No.
My body.
Once. Now.
His prison. The boardroom devolved into a circus of Armani and accusations. The kind of scene that would have made front-page tabloids if phones hadn't been jammed by my preemptive Faraday hack, another perk of Victor's Black Ops Rolodex. Elena vaulted the table, nails like talons, screeching, "This is fraud. Impersonation. You're done. You little." I held up a hand, calm as a surgeon mid-incision. "Save it for the deposition. Vasquez." Your stolen patents? Already with the FBI. And those harassment settlements you buried? Leaked to Me Too X in 5 minutes. Her face twisted, a mask cracking, and she froze mid-lunge, calculating the fall from penthouse to prison jumpsuit. Lila hovered by the door, pale as milk, her Louboutins rooted like she'd seen a ghost. Which, in a way,
She had. Me. What? How?
you're supposed to be. Ruined. I finished, stepping over Victor's husk, still breathing. Shallow, his eyes darting in panic as my memories flooded his skull. Thanks to you. But, turns out, karma's got a glitch.
Cease.
And it swapped us just long enough for me to rewrite the code. The rest scattered like roaches, board members dialing lawyers, assistants fleeing with shredders. I activated the lockdown, smart glass frosting over. Elevators halted. Overhead speakers crackled to life. My voice amplified. Distorted for drama, booming. Vanguard Dynamics is under new management. Effective now. All executives are terminated. Clean out your desks. Security will escort. Screams. Pounding fists on glass. It was symphony to my scars. I'd imagined this 1,000 times in basements and bars. But the real thing? Cathartic. Controversial as hell. Was I the hero dismantling a corrupt machine? Or the villain torching innocence with the guilty? The janitors, the coders, they'd suffer too. But in America's cutthroat coliseum, collateral was the price of the crown. Victor in my body stirred, clawing at the carpet.
What?
Did you do?
His voice.
My timbre, cracked with horror. I knelt, close enough to smell my own fear sweat on him. Took back what's mine, I whispered. You built this on lies, Ponzi schemes, suicides, stolen lives. I bore one for Lila.
But you?
You pin the whole rotten foundation on ghosts like me. Now feel it. My eyes widened, synapses firing with my rage, my grief. The swap's residue, echoes of each other's sins. He convulsed, retching memories I'd buried, Mom's cancer bills Lila had helped pay with pilfered cash, my college dropout to fund her dreams. Lila. She said. She lied, I said flatly. Like always. But you're welcome for the upgrade. Ambulance sirens wailed distant, closing in. I straightened, keying the all clear. As the frosted glass cleared, paparazzi drones buzzed like hornets. Liv streaming the exodus, Elena in tears. Mascara Rivers, Marcus. Ty Askew. Shoving boxes into Ubers. Lila bolted last, shoving past cops. Her consultant badge snapping underfoot. By noon, Vanguard was mine legally, ruthlessly. I holed up in Victor's penthouse, now requisitioned, sipping his 1947 Cheval Blanc while lawyers swarmed. The press frenzy was nuclear. Corporate coup, analyst avenges firing. Oust tycoon in body swap horror. The glitch leaked fast, Victor's implant logs. Lila's dosing confession pulled from security cams. Conspiracy, nuts lit up X. Chorus swap trending with memes of me as Black Swan in a pantsuit. But the betrayal's aftershocks hit private. My phone, Reel 1, retrieved from evidence lockup, buzzed with voicemails. Cousins offering couches, too late. Old colleagues begging jobs, ironic. And Mom's ghost. In every mirror, her tired eyes judging the monster I'd become. Victor stabilized in Bellevue. Catatonic. Trapped in my shell's feedback loop, my traumas looping like a bad trip. Docs called it neural echo. He'd wake screaming my name. Or his lost in the merge. Part of me pitied him. The rest reveled. Controversial? Hell yes. Was stranding a man in your psyche mercy or madness? Twitter trials raged, feminists crowning me avenger. Conservatives decrying woke vigilantism. Rebuilding Vanguard was war. I slashed the fat. No more Gulf Streams for golf retreats. No bonuses bloated on fraud. Redirected funds to the victims. Pension restitution. Engineer scholarships. But firings rippled. 40% staff cut. Midtown diners overflowing with ex-suits hawking resumes. Protests outside the tower. Cora's carnage, signs. Chants of class warfare. I addressed them from the steps. Wind whipping my hair like Medusa's snakes. This isn't revenge. I lied to the cameras. Voice steady. It's reckoning. The old Vanguard preyed on the vulnerable, me included. We're building fair now. Bullshit. Half of it. Deep down, every layoff was a proxy for Lila's slap. Victor's smirk. Power corrupted quick. I felt it in the late nights. Staring at acquisition targets. Wondering who'd bleed next. Lila vanished. Holed up in some Hamptons hideout courtesy of a panicked ex-board ally. I could have dragged her in, extortion charges galore, but I let her stew. Sending anonymous drops. Her gallery's lease terminated. Art hauled to auctions under my name.
Petty?
Absolutely. But in the American revenge playbook, escalation was the only sequel. Elena's takedown was cleaner. I met her in a neutral Starbucks. Irony thick as the lattes, her once impeccable bob frizzed. Eyes hollow. You win.
Cora.
But this? It's Pyrrhic. You'll be alone up there. I slid over the settlement. Immunity for testimony against Victor's empire. Sign.
And you're free. Fight.
And those patents go public domain. Your millions? Dust. She signed, tears spotting the napkin. He made me, she whispered. Promise the world. We all chase ghosts, I replied. But inside. Doubt gnawed. Was I any different? Victor's ghost. Whispering from news feeds. Hale's hostile takeover destroys 5,000 jobs. The controversy peaked at the shareholder gala. A black-tie farce in the Rainbow Room. Crystal chandeliers dripped light on tuxes and gowns. The jazz band swinging like nothing had shattered. I entered Cora strong. Crimson gown hugging curves I'd forgotten. Hair pinned fierce. Whispers slithered. The body snatcher. Ruthless bitch. Victor was there in my old body. Wheeled in by handlers. Gaunt. Eyes wild. Rehab had patched the swap's damage. But the merge lingered. He twitched when I approached. My own tics haunting him. Cora, he rasped. My lips twisting. End this. Buy me out. I leaned close. Champagne flute cool against my fingers.
Why?
So you can rebuild on fresh graves? No.
Beak.
You're the message. Powers borrowed. And I called collect. He lunged. Frail but feral. Knocking the glass. Wine splashed like blood, metaphorical. Thank God, staining gowns. Sparking gasps. Security swarmed. I backed away. Heart thundering not from fear,
but thrill.
The room erupted. Allies defending my reform. Detractors howling assault. Headlines next day. Cora versus. Clone. Gala brawl exposes swap scandal. Stocks dipped 8%. But my poll numbers, unofficial ex-polls, split 50-50, savior or sociopath. Deeper cuts came internal. Nightmares now. Victor's memories bleeding through. His 90s coke-fueled boardroom romps. The whistleblower's plea he'd ignored. Please?
Beak.
It's fraud, ending in a suicide Cora now knew was staged. I'd borne that crime unknowingly, my predecessor's shadow lengthening mine. Guilt twisted. Had I fired innocents who'd covered similar sins? Lila resurfaced via email. A white flag plea. COR.
I'm sorry. Meet
The Hamptons. For Mom's sake. I almost deleted it. But blood.
thin as it was. Tugged.
I drove out solo. Mustang roaring over dunes. Salt air whipping out. Her hideout was a crumbling cottage. Waves crashing like accusations. She waited on the porch.
No makeup.
In sweats, vulnerable. Almost the kid who'd braided my hair. Sis, she started. Voice small. I didn't mean. Save it. I cut her off. Handing over a folder. Her signed confession. Immunity deal. Testify against Victor. Clear my name fully. Or rot. Tears welled. Real ones. Why not just forgive? Because forgiveness is for saints. Lila. I'm the sinner who won. But as I turned, her sob hooked me.
Wait.
The secret. Victor's not the villain. Not all. I froze. Twist incoming. The kind that upends thrones. The Hamptons' wind howled off the Atlantic like a scorned lover, carrying salt and secrets as Lila spilled the reversal that cracked my vengeance wide open. We sat on splintered Adirondacks, the cottage sagging under years of neglect, ironic, since it had been Mom's someday beach house, funded by my first Vanguard paycheck, siphoned by Lila's emergencies. Fireflies danced in the dusk, mocking the darkness uncoiling between us. Victor's not the architect, she said, voice barely above the surf. He was the mark. Like you. Her hands trembled, lighting a cigarette with a Zippo that had been Dad's, before he bailed for Vegas showgirls and a better life. The Ponzi? Elena's brainchild. She seduced him in '07, fed him the bond scheme, used his name to front. When it blew, she pinned the whistleblower, your predecessor, Sarah, framed as suicide. Victor took the heat, but she buried the ledgers in his accounts. My gut twisted, Cora's instincts clashing with Victor's echoes. Bullshit. Why tell me now? Damage control. Lila exhaled smoke like a dragon sighing. Because you're destroying the wrong empire.
And
The implant? Not my idea. Elena dosed you through me. Said it'd neutralize you after I confessed the embezzlement setup. I was her pawn.
good.
For a promotion. But the swap? Glitch she didn't predict. It backfired. Gave you his access. Flashes hit. Victor's memories. Fragmented now in my dreams. Elena's whispers in his ear. Her nails on his ledger. Forging trails. The suicide note. Her handwriting.
Disguised.
I'd felt his guilt in the merge. Mistaken for complicity. The man I'd caged was caged first. Why frame me twice? I demanded. Voice raw. Sarah. Then me what? Pattern. Pattern of protection, Lila said, eyes downcast. Victor's daughter, his secret one, from that junior exec he buried. She's Sarah's spitting image. In witness protection. Elena knew, threatened to expose if he didn't take falls. You got the second because you were sniffing too close. Like Sarah. The twist landed like a gut punch, reversing the board. Victor, the tyrant, a puppet king, strings pulled by Elena's ambition. My revenge? A blindfolded firing squad, gunning the wrong shadows. Controversial didn't cover it, if true. I torched a reformer's remnants while crowning the serpent. I drove back in a fog, Mustang's headlights carving tunnels through night. Vanguard's tower loomed, a monolith of my hubris. Inside, the war room hummed. Analysts, my hires, fresh-faced and loyal, plotting green pivots. But doubt festered. I pulled Elena's file, cross-referenced with Victor's implants logs.
Lila hadn't lead.
Elena's offshore trails led to the Ponzi core. Victor's crimes, her smokescreens. Confrontation brewed, dark and tense. I summoned her to the penthouse at midnight, the city a glittering accusation below. She arrived poised. Chanel no. 5 cutting the air like a blade. Cora. To what do I owe the insomnia cure? Sit. I poured bourbon, Victor's stash, oaky and bitter. The ledgers. Sarah's note. Your handwriting. Her laugh was ice. Paranoia suits you, darling. Victor's tales from the ward. Ward's not talking, I lied. But his memories are. In me. The swap left echoes, your whispers.
Elena.
Sign it.
Beak.
Or the girl's face on every newsstand, color drained from her. She sipped, calculating. Clever girl. But proof? Hearsay in a head swap circus. I slid the tablet over. Decrypted emails. Her to Cayman banks. Timestamps matching the bonds.
This.
And Lila's testimony. En route to feds. Game over. She lunged for it, desperate. Unseal-like, but I was ready. Tasered from Victor's drawer, zapping her still. She crumpled, twitching, eyes blazing hate. You think you're justice? You're chaos. Vanguard was thriving under me. Your reforms will bankrupt it. Jobs lost. Pensions gutted. Hero, you're the villain. Her words hooked deep, stirring the debate I'd ignored. My firings, necessary scalpel or reckless chainsaw. Thousands unemployed. Families fracturing. Was that reckoning or ruin? The press painted me Saint Slayer. But polls shifted. Cora kills jobs viral. Unions picketing with Avenger or Annihilator? Placards. I zip-tied her to the chair, impromptu. American ingenuity, and called the detail. As cuffs clicked, she spat truth's barbs. Victor's no saint. He knew. Enjoyed the power. You're no better, swapped into him. Became him. Ruthless. The cell door clanged shut on her downtown. But her echo lingered. Victor, discharged, sought me out in a neutral park bench. My old body frilier, eyes haunted by our merge. Cora, he said. My voice gravel now. The swap. I saw you. Your pain. Lila's lies. I'm sorry, he said. Distance between us like a chasm. Sorry buys what? My life back. Nothing. He handed a drive, final ledgers. Elena's full web. But this cleans the board. For Sarah. For you. We talked, raw. Two souls scarred by the same blade. He confessed the daughter's hiding. Her pleas ignored for empire. I chose wrong.
Don't you?
Pity stirred. Controversial as mercy in a revenge saga. I could have buried him deeper. Leaks. Lawsuits. Instead, I offered a deal. Testify. take a fall guy role willingly. For reduced time. Rebuild from ashes.
Big.
Or rot. He nodded.
Ters. Mine. Tracking kicks.
Twist of fate. You in my skin taught me mine. Vanguard stabilized. But tension coiled. Lila's testimony dropped bombs. Elena's empire included city hall bribes.
Tech espionage.
Feds swarmed. Headlines screaming Cora's cascade, from revenge to reckoning. But backlash bit. Shareholder suits claiming my personal vendetta tanked value. Class actions from fired staff. Protests swelled, divided, tense, half chanting my name, half burning effigies. The dark deepened personal. Nightmares merged us. Victor's coke highs crashing into my mom's chemo vigils. Lila's laughs echoing as stabs. Power isolated. Advisors flattered. But trust? Shattered glass. Dates ghosted at the whisper of swap scandal. Friends circled like auditors. Probing for angles. Climax crested at the federal hearing. A circus in Foley Square. Marble halls echoed with clicks. Elena in orange glaring from the dock. Victor, me? Testifying halting. Lila took the stand. Voice steady. Cora bore my sin. Elena orchestrated all. I watched from gallery. Anonymous in shades. Heart pounding. The truth reversed. Villain to victim. Avenger to architect. Judge's gavel fell. Elena, 20 years. Victor, 5 with parole. Lila? Probation. Her eyes meeting mine. Forgiveness? Or fracture?
Outside.
Rain lashed. Protesters clashing. Fists for justice. Signs for jobs. A bottle sailed. Shattering mirror, I ducked. Adrenaline spiking. In that chaos. Decision loomed. Dissolve vanguard. Walk away rich, but reviled? Or helm the beast? Controversial captain of a reformed ship? The hearing's echo faded into New York's relentless hum, horns blaring. Steam rising from grates like vengeful spirits, but the tension clung. A second skin. I retreated to the penthouse. Now truly mine. Walls lined with abstract art Lila once curated, stole. Bourbon burned going down. Victor's echo in every swallow. You're no better. Elena's parting shot looped. Chaos. And Lila's gaze from the stand, pleading, broken, stirred the blood tie-eyed severed but couldn't cauterize. Dawn broke gray. Coffee bitter as regret. My reflection, Cora's, unswapped, unscarred, stared back. But eyes held Victor's weariness. The merge had faded, but scars lingered, ticks when stressed. A boardroom bark that wasn't mine. Vanguard's board, new blood. Handpicked, demanded address. Chart the course. MS.
Hale.
Investors waver. I chose the path least trod. Most debated, dissolution. Not full, too Pyrrhic. Too many innocents crushed, but a surgical breakup. Sell the fraud-tainted divisions, Elena's pets. Reinvest in clean tech, solar grids for underserved hoods.
Aietic slabs.
Firings? Minimal now. Retraining funds from seized assets. Controversial? Like handing swords to the wounded, reparations or handouts. X exploded, Cora redeems versus. Socialist sellout. Victor reached out by a lawyer. A quiet meet in Central Park. Under budding cherries mocking winter's thaw. He walked unassisted. My old frame bulked by therapy. Eyes clearer, but shadowed. Heard about the split, he said. Bench creaking under us. Bold. Stupid. Maybe. From the king of bold. I quipped. But no bite. We sat. Strangers in shared skins memory. He chuckled.
Dry.
Touché. The daughter's safe, thanks to your nudge. Met her last week. Calls me dad without quotes. Warmth flickered, unbidden. Human. Good. Ghosts need laying. And you? Empire's End. What's next? Cora Hale? I shrugged. Skyline sprawling. Therapy. A real apartment. Maybe write the book, Swapped and Screwed. A Wall Street Hell. Laughter.
Tentative.
You. Prison Library, he said wryly. Reading up on redemption arcs.
Pause.
Heavy. I felt your rage. Deserved it. But don't let it define. His words hung. A twist's coda, the tyrant humanized, the avenger questioning. We parted with nods, no hugs. Too raw, but lighter. Burdens shared. Lila's reconciliation was stormier. She showed at the tower unannounced. Rain-soaked. Duffel in hand. Probation starts today. Need a couch. I eyed her. Water pooling like tears. Why? Because blood's messy.
Cor.
But it's ours.
And.
I sold the gallery.
Clean slate.
Slate? Scratch to hell. But Mom's voice whispered, family's what you fight for. Controversial choice. Forgive the blade. Risk another stab? I stepped aside. One room. One chance. Months blurred into rebuild. Vanguard's remnants, Hale Dynamics now, thrived modestly, solar panels dotting Bronx roofs. Coders unionized.
Noen ideas Channing Tonges.
Press shifted, from scandal to Cora's comeback, but debates raged, op-eds dissecting my mercy, to Victor as weakness. My rehires as pandering. Protests dwindled. But scars itched, a fired engineer's suicide note. Echoing Sarah's. Blamed on Hale's havoc. The endgame twist landed soft. By kitsch laced with hope. A year post-swap. At a quiet diner, Mom's old haunt, I got the call. Victor. Paroled early for good behavior. Found dead in his cell. Overdose? Or echo overload? My trauma's too heavy? Autopsy said heart. Ironic. For a man who'd sold his. Grief hit odd, for the monster I'd been. Or the man I'd glimpsed. Lila sobbed at the news. Clutching my hand. We broke him. Sis. No, I said.
Fierce.
Elena did. We just. Collected. Funeral was sparse. Me. Lila. His daughter, 25. Sharp-eyed. Sarah's echo. She hugged awkward. He talked about you. Said you saved him from himself. We scattered ashes over the East River. Wind carrying him free. Back home, our Astoria walk-up. Reclaimed I poured wine. Lila and I toasting ghosts. To twists, she said. To truth, I countered. Debatable ending. Justice served. But at what cost? Empire crumbled. Family mended, yet shadows lingered. Controversies fueling late-night what-ifs. Was revenge the fire that forged or the blaze that scarred? In America's grind, maybe both. And in the quiet, I, Cora Hale, swap survivor, chose to build anyway. Because falling down's easy, rising controversial.